Welcome again to this most unholy night. Hello there, everyone. This is a Scum live episode, and this is Adam.
Greg. Greg is here for
I'm
once.
in shit.
And we're covering we've covered a lot of interesting books or terrible books. I don't really know what this one is quite yet because I've only done a very quick skim. I will say that
Cool.
no, I will say that we've covered several that have tried to come off like lesson plans. Our traveling home and feminism comes to mind. Hashtag feminism. We've covered that a long time ago. This is the first time we've ever kind of covered a research paper disguised as a book. So,
This is a definitely an odd one, and if the audience is ever shown the amount of pages on it, it's despite not seeming like it, it is a very dense and long book.
which
Not
is
book. To say this is a book, that's wrong. This is more like an academic kind of thesis.
which is funny because the formatting makes it even shorter than it actually is. This is Sorcerer by Ron Edwards. And I already love the title cover because it's just the way it is. It is what it is, and it's just shoved in the corner somewhere to the side where it belongs.
Ron Edwards, also creator of the RPG Troll Babe, where all players take control of large female trolls.
Wait, really?
Yes,
He's a bit of an interesting guy. His background is being in
a
academia,
philosopher.
and he
Ah,
also
the
then
the
fell in love with
even more
RPGs.
dismal science.
And it's actually with this sorcerer was his first game, and he initially started via a shareware model. It was literally, you'd email him, give him $5, and he would send you the copy. Uh,
And you can make your own splat books if
actually,
you sent the material over.
you know, for that. He would give it to you, and then he would say if you liked it, give him $5. So it was giving out for free.
Well, I think it's
Right.
gotten a bit different because Adept Press, or at least someone claiming to be that, is demanding. I put it in the description. I think it might be the official unstore for this book,
It's a
but
bit funny. The original site for all this goes and a lot of things is gone. It's like a lot of, like old parts of the old internet is just gone.
yeah, that's the weird thing. Like, there's no direct source. Like, it mentions a direct source that's not there anymore. I did the best I could. I don't necessarily know if the Adept Unstore is a continuation of this. I, I don't know. All I do know is that it is a genuine place where you can get a copy of this if you don't have one. I also know that you can find them in the dumpster. I know you can
Hmm.
also find it in the dumpster.
The splats, though, I have no clue where the hell you. Those are quite hard to find, from what I can tell. Or supplements, whatever you want to call
Oh,
these.
they're basically impossible because they're all fan made.
Hmm. They're official fan made, but they're fan made.
Yeah, good
I
luck.
think,
Good luck, pal.
I think you'd yeah the let's put it this way, the old place where you could get them, PayPal, the ads for them are long gone.
You already know the direction where this is going when you see a small child about to be, or it actually is, the wyvern monster shadow in the background.
This is a as
Oh,
funny
it's
enough. I
also
remember.
the annotated sorcerer copy. This is the one where we get personal writings by the creator as he creates this.
Mhm. As someone once put it to me, or at least on a forum once put it, this is the imagine if someone turned. This is the game that you can unironically play Lilo and Stitch with.
All right, I can. Let's give it a try.
The acknowledgments to every Thanks to everyone, not the least for the patience of being the GM, who was confounded by the system I wrote.
Oh no no no! I'm noticing I see a couple of Mike Mignola drawings. A couple of them are very much Hellboy drawings. I don't know if this was like rejected, like it's free. I'm assuming it's free. You can use it. It's just something I noticed.
I'd say interior design was Nathan D. Aletta.
Oh, okay. It's just because in the preface, because they have a very little moody picture from and samples. That that's very Mignola-esque. The heavy
Uh,
use of inking and dark shadows.
my favorite part of the acknowledgments section is thanks to all the members of the Runetune Sorcerer mailing list throughout 1999.
My favorite thing is there's an entire blank page of the annotated sorcerer. It's just there for no reason. And then we get to the acknowledgments.
Yeah, you can tell how old this is when we're referencing mailing lists and zines.
Yeah.
Sorcerer was first made as a TXT file in 1996 in shareware fashion, upgraded to a PDF in 1998.
Ah, yes, TXT. That's when you would use, unironically, Notepad. Remember Notepad? It's the ultimate, I don't give a shit, I just need to write something down program.
Stream of consciousness writing. As he puts it together, it says, "I've pulled some of the text from my posts at the Adept Press forums." So yes, this is also a combination of literal forum posts.
Oh god, this is Symbiota-esque.
Oh yeah,
This is very Symbiota-esque.
because he also says one of the reasons for the annotations is that Sorcerer is not written for the Iron Man badass role playing. It's easy, very easy. The goal is to show how in almost 300 pages.
Um, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that, Mister? At least for their patience in dealing with a GM who was occasionally confounded by the system he wrote. Are you sure about that?
I have a feeling he's referring to a different GM, but he might not be.
I don't. No, no. There's no way. Like this is the product of what. This is his own error.
But yep, this is something that has been worked on since 1996 and came up with its first draft in 1998. So
Well, no, no,
this
no, no. It was released in '96. He probably worked on it even earlier than that.
officially, yeah, I'm just saying officially. But for regardless, this book is over 2 decades old at this point.
Yep. On
And
top of that,
unlike other older RPGs and other stuff, it definitely feels a lot less professional than other ones.
this is actually contemporary with mainly revised. This is contemporary with revised World of Darkness books. This is also contemporary with. Pretty sure this is right around the time third edition's being made for D&D. Because this is, I believe, right around the time TSR went out of business.
My the author's words on role playing games. Many role playing games amount to not much more than a series of gorgeous coffee table books.
Well, he's
Others
not
spark the
wrong.
magic. Yeah, others spark the imagination with a set of simple, high potential ideas. Sorcerer is written within the traditions of early traveler cyberpunk RuneQuest champions, and low to the many years gone, the fantasy trip.
Yeah, that's an actual very old RPG. Don't know if I have a copy of it somewhere, but yeah, we're talking like it's contemporary with the not even the white box of D&D. It's around. I think it's a slightly bit older.
I think of role playing as playing in a band. On Sorcerer Night, you get together and make cool sounding noises. You'll have to try people out and have standards for their abilities. Everyone has to listen, everyone has to play honestly and hard, and no other group will be quite like it. It doesn't concern to win, although showing off to your friends might be a part of it. It has nothing to do with losing, although screwing up or regretting things can play its role. In a band, it's if someone's not having fun, they stop coming. If someone's not up to the level of the other players or they can't handle
Nice
the end of
formatting.
things, they stop getting invited. Yeah.
Nice formatting. Also, it's art or game. Every word here holds true. This is what I'd later call the social contract for Sorcerer play. Note its combined hope, ambition, and ruthlessness. I'll revisit all three many times throughout.
The annotations.
Yeah, it's just why? What's the point? What's the point? Like, congrats, you wasted an entire page on this because you don't know how to. Oh, here's another fun thing. They don't know how to double column.
Oh, also, whatever you do, don't click. If you ever get your hands on the PDF, don't click on the link to the website. It's broken
Yeah, it's
and long
exploded.
dead. Mm-hmm.
Visit this dead website. This game began as an internet phenomenon, and it continues as such at deadwebsite.com, which is the ultimate comedy, I think, for this book.
Mm-hmm. Specific services included in the website are participate on our active forum.
Dead.
Input your data into the of your character and demons, which are automatically converted to a PDF file.
Oh yeah, everything that you mentioned, like all the cool things you mentioned, instantly turned into product.
Register to be an official demonstrator for the game and receive a demonstration packet with an original scenario, art, and detailed material.
This
Sell your
almost
own
this
sorcerer setting for profit.
this kind of has some MLM energy. This has some direct marketing energy. Not quite. It's just passion, but it's just a little weird. It's a little weird. The supplements. 2 supplements exist to the book you now hold. Altogether, they compose the final and only version of this role-playing game. In general, I am not a big fan of amendments to role-playing rules, and even less of a fan of detailed background source books. The Sorcerer supplements are written instead to be worth your money and time, according to the following rules. And then immediately goes to the website.
Yeah, the design of this book's amazing. But yeah, this is all just the background in regards to just the guy's just dumping about how all the stuff came to be. But long story short, in regards to grinding all this down, this was essentially a big stream of consciousness slash sort of just idea he's been bouncing around for a very long time. That
Yeah.
he wanted to make something a role playing game that kind of deals with a lot with humanity, more grim kind of with grim kind of stuff, going with humans and demons and other blah blah blah. Clearly, a bit more inspired by the World of Darkness, and at least in this kind of a tone of it.
Or alternatively, just kind of essentially the rise of a big bad evil guy who's a sorcerer who basically makes pacts with those from beyond. It's
Oh,
pretty simple. The ideas, though, the 3 tenets are innovative role-playing game design. If the topic can be run using rules in this book alone, or ideas and principles from other role-playing games, then it's not worthy of a supplement. That's kind of hilarious because that means that you can completely throw this book into the trash.
where are you
Unironically,
supposed to feel?
no. Unironically, Ars Magica, which existed before this.
but had more backstory in it.
You don't need to. You never have to use the backstory of Ars Magica directly. I'm just pointing out that by his own logic, already, page 16, you can throw it out. Yeet. Or alternatively, if we're going to go real old school, Chaosium makes this obsolete. Because you can play a high power game of Call of Cthulhu.
Well, Sorcerer's a bit different than a high power game, but yeah.
Well, high power in the sense that you are the cultist.
Anyway, to the 2 splats that are dead that you can't find anymore. Sword and Sorcery, about doing things in a dark fantasy adventure
Yep, that's
with
gone.
more focused with more focused with necromancy, physical combat, and blah blah blah. Sorcerer's Soul, which is all about your soul and stuff like that, and your humanity.
The absolute irony is
So,
you can actually play a Conan game now, courtesy of Modiphius.
mhm.
Bwamp, 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 bwamp.
Let's move on from all the preface and onto the actual book, meat
Which in
The
that case,
flesh.
of this theory slash
age
book game,
12.
Alrighty.
or 20 on the PDF.
Yeah, you love the formatting? I do. Lovely dead page right here for no reason. Excelente. This isn't tied to World of Darkness Sorcerer? Oh, hell no.
No, this has not this. I think this actually adds.
This is a fever dream made by a guy since 1978.
I'll say that the best analog would be
When did World of Darkness Sorcerer come out?
this would be more akin to just playing a guy who has a lot of dots and spirit.
Honestly, funny enough, about the same time these two books came out.
Mm-hmm. Hilariously, hilariously, Ars Magica came out before this too. At least from what I understand.
Holy Sorcerer, funny enough.
The introduction to the game. Know this. All the traditions, cultures, rituals, and bodies of knowledge surrounding what we call magic or the occult are wrong. It's hogwash, flim-flam, swindlerly, and lies.
My version, though, which requires you to pay money, that's the truth.
Even so, here and now in the modern world there are perhaps several dozen sorcerers in existence. They do summon demons and bind them to their will. Do have an inkling, although no certainty about the unnatural laws. You are one of them. Which
Okay.
also technically so he's saying that sorcerers that bind demons exist, but all the other magic's wrong.
Yeah, I think that's kind of limiting and pretty silly.
A bit. It's a bit. The from it's to narrow, at least to narrow down the system focus. A lot of this book is kind of, how do I put it? It's a bit as I put it, it's a bit flim flammy in regards to at least a lot of things. Things are not really so much as usually when it's not dealing with you. Things are a lot more up in the air.
Oh, by the way, I
No,
will say for Squirrel Killer, yeah, honestly, it doesn't need to be double columned. I'm just making a bit of a shit post. It's actually because of the size of the font, it actually works for what you need it to be. It's more like a small paperback, or in this case, a thick doorstopper of a paperback, probably made on the cheap. If it was turned into a book, like a direct physical copy.
so
Also, and by the way, and it is a great, amazing thing. For some reason, the next two pages are literally copies of each other.
Oh,
Well, sort of. They're almost copies of it. Like the first page is a direct copy.
but why though?
I think it's good in a way. I think it's like it's weird. I don't fucking get this, but the important thing here is the second page.
13I. What? Why?
13, yeah,
No, 13 and 13I.
yeah, yeah. 13 and 13i. They're two different.
So,
but I do want to take a look at that wonderful diagram.
Yeah, the diagram. Here is a diagram of how these books chapters are organized, which also maps out the process of play. The whole thing is a system manual, perhaps circumulum,
a
in a precise
curriculum.
order that needs
Oh, hey, we're actually
curriculum.
getting lesson plan style. We're getting lesson plan style gaming.
You can
Lovely.
tell
Mhm.
this guy is an academic.
You're gonna
No,
you've
just
got
because
this.
you're an academic doesn't mean you instantly convert everything into fucking lesson plans.
Structurally, chapters 2 and 3 only exist in light of what happens in chapter 1. In order to stand and understand chapter 4, you need to grasp the entirety of chapter 2 and 3. You fitting
Oh,
into context 1, armed with the player chart character diagrams, or at least understand what they are. You can't simply begin preparing and playing in the same way you're used to understanding role playing by flipping between different chapters.
so
Which, in my
along
opinion, I think we're going to probably either disprove or prove why you probably should just play Ars Magica.
so this is a long paragraph to just explain read in order.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
No,
Sorcerer begins.
I promise you, my guys, you have to read all of it to understand the very, very intricate and complex concept of you summon your JoJo stand and put on your robe and wizard hat. That's literally all it is.
For each chapter, I've indicated part of the diagram being discussed. Introductory discussion. The two statements. Make your character, make your demon, prepare and play, sorcery and conflict.
Okay. There's also diagram continued for no reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's just,
Yeah, the logic he is running off is extremely arrogant, Squirrel Killer. I find it very fascinating. There's a reason, as soon as I saw how it was formatted, I knew we should cover it. And there's a reason why, unironically, Greg suggested this for not this Halloween special. I think you suggested it for last year's.
it was a while. It was quite a bit ago. I first suggested because this was just such an odd book compared to everything else I've ever seen, and the only places I'd ever really found this talked about was in regards to just if you want to have a story involving yourself in a very powerful dealing with essentially an extremely powerful being that doesn't really follow any hard rules beyond what you set.
Which is very, it's both freeing but also very situational, I would
Yeah,
say.
it's an odd. Like I said, it's an odd book. hmm Okay, now here's one of the things we got to flip back up again. Okay, the other thing. Blah blah
Oh,
blah blah.
lovely.
At the time, a sorcerer character may try and summon and bind more demons. The superhuman abilities are inherent only to the demons. The sorcerers themselves have no special power beyond their knowledge of how to summon, command, and bind demons. The GM plays with demons as characters. The sorcerer is different from magic using characters in most role playing games. They are not wizards who channel elements of the natural world. They don't cast spells. Instead, they break open reality to summon beings that shouldn't be here.
So you
Whatever
ripped
else they
off
accomplish or
Chaosium's.
believe.
So you ripped
Whatever,
off Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu cults, which that's literally how magic's supposed to work in Call of Cthulhu.
whatever else they accomplish or believe, they are outlaws, the ultimate in arrogance. Any moral system, karma, or means of adjudicating right and wrong, the sorcerer is at grave risk by using their knowledge.
This is just Mage the Ascension, but a little edgier, and you're playing Nefandi, honestly. If you really think about it. But tish.
If you want to go a completely classic route, demons are from hell, where they ordinarily spend their time torturing the damned. The sorcerer is committing blasphemy. The view is only one way to define the basic idea of sorcery, though. And the actual meaning of demons and how they relate to any issues, theological or not, is up to your individual playgroup.
I just think it's weird that all forms of sorcery require devil summoning, or in this case, outsider influence summoning. Just
Yeah,
it
Kabbalah, what the fuck is that shit? That doesn't work unless you summon a demon.
it's really weird. It's weird in the sense that it's actually quite restricting and kind of silly.
Yes, Squirrel Killer. That is that. I don't remember if he actually made that or if that was just one of the many different splats. But yes, sex and sorcery is a real supplement.
Yeah. Oh, here's some questions. If sorcerers have been around on the planet for a while and they're so powerful, why aren't they running things? If there's some kind of demonic Illuminati whose conflicts and machinations provide the real basis for the events in history books, the default answer is no. The main reason why not is that demons do not permit general knowledge of their existence. Little exceptions are right. An isolated report of a slavering knife being written off, but deadly So basically, this guy has accidentally just completely destroyed himself because he's going for the secret world concept, which he was
But
beaten to the punch by a bunch of larpers in Chicago.
know what I realized? You know that viral video years ago of the leprechaun being found in some suburbia, I think in the south.
No, I do not remember that.
I mean,
It's
I remember
could
Leprechaun
it
in
could,
the Hood. Are you talking about that
yes,
hit film?
the one it could be a crackhead who got hold of the wrong stuff.
Oh no, no, the actual hit film Leprechaun in the Hood. It's a real leprechaun.
Oh no, but I'm just imagining that could technically be a demon.
Yeah,
Crack addicted leprechaun.
the
Yeah,
other
you
reason is that
unironically can.
the other reason that sorcerers are rare, there aren't enough people who can actually do the type of stories implied in these rules assume that there should be no more than 100 active sorcerers in the entire world at time, and preferably fewer. Their impact in history should be confined to single events rather than an ongoing saga or conspiracy. But Chapter 7 offers up the options of how to run that.
Translation. He kind of low-key realized the concept of having the ability to summon Astaroth gives you stupid amounts of power. And then this is his attempts to try to justify why it's still the modern world and not irrevocably changed.
Mm-hmm. And
Also,
here's the
only about 100 honestly, this is just sounding more and more like Mage the Awakening. I think that's kind of the ultimate problem and what kind of killed this franchise, so to speak. The experiment was basically had all of its oxygen sucked out from contemporary games. Also, let's be fair, if you were given this book pamphlet and you saw this dead page right here, I think you would be like, wait, what the fuck?
That and honestly, there doesn't seem to be much of a plot.
Also, the arrogance
Oh
of
yeah, there
saying
is
you
no
have to.
plot. Oh yeah,
Well, no, no,
the
don't forget
story.
the horrendous arrogance that you have to read every chapter.
Mm-hmm. Wait, the only no, there is no actual plot of this book. This is
Also,
one of those RPG.
also,
This is one of those RPGs where where there is pretty much no story. It's just sort of a set of rules, ideas, and themes.
all set around one very simple concept that probably didn't need almost 300 pages for.
Morkborg has more of a plot than this, and it's just the world's ending.
Hmm. Anyway, let's move on to the heart of the game. You.
Yes.
Yeah,
The sorcerer is an intense. The player or the sorcerer is a scary, intense character. Consider who you might play. What character? What does this character? Given what you've had to do to get your power, what do you want, and how far are you willing to go, and how far have you gone? What price have you paid? How do you hold on? How do you hold on to your humanity? And what has brought you to this point? Are you out
Can I
for?
answer that?
Hmm?
I can answer all those questions with one word: drugs.
yeah, probably. That unironically would work. Also, you know what I just kind of realized? Another game that sucked all of the oxygen out of this thing's room. Wraith. Because at the end of the day, this is little more than just a game of Wraith the Oblivion.
Except you're not dead yet.
Well, I mean, it's similar concepts. Rather than instead of a demon, your shadows, but controlled by the GM, you're still essentially doomed to falling apart. Uh, you're playing intense and dour characters because you're dead. I think that's kind of the ultimate problem. He released this right around the time, not only during the RPG crash, as Squirrel Killer said, but right when you could just do these concepts, but you had a lot more flexibility. Oh, cool! As I mentioned, a Mage of the Ascension player would just kind of squint their eyes, going, "Cool, you're just playing a Nefandus. Do you have anything unique? Anything beyond infernalism? No, no, you can't make a Gordon Ramsay magical chef. Then get the fuck out of here, buddy." That is an actual genuine way you can play a mage character. You could also unironically make Darkside Phil as a mage character. You,
How?
all you need to know are the right spheres, and you can actually explain why he can hypnotize people into giving him a insane amount of money that he then ritualistically sacrifices on his wrestler gotchas.
Entropy in mind?
Bit of mind, a little bit of entropy. He would be part of the technocracy as one of the lower rank and file. I forget the exact. I think if I remember right, someone unironically did stat out Darkside Phil as a mage once.
Interesting.
That
He's
sounds
a
silly, but I think he did have a sphere in rank 3 to explain the Pygnosis, or his insane
Eh,
luck.
But regardless, we're here for now, so let's at least keep going.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm just pointing out that I think that's ultimately what scuppered this project.
The heart of the game. This is not fluff, but strict instructions to stop it and compare them to other games and think simply how they apply to the player. Nothing will take care of you. This game is not intended to preserve your character's life or make you look good or the hero. The only thing the character can rely on is you, the player. GM, there is no plot for you to prepare, engineer, or manage. All the mechanisms that have been placed here are what bring you to play and let the events play out. Play will produce the plot.
Um,
If
unironically,
you,
there's a reason adventure splats are so well liked.
mm-hmm. Definitely one of the like I said, it's definitely this like I said, this is not real. This is sort of something. This whole thing is kind of almost more of a rule set that is applied onto Sorcerer is almost a rule set that is applied onto different stories than less a story of itself.
Which I think is kind of an indictment against it.
Yeah, and it's simply something about it. I wouldn't say it's good or bad, but whether or not it'd be good in most situations is the
Well,
answer is
I
no.
can already tell you the answer is no, and here's why. One of my favorite Warhammer Fantasy supplements was the Rogue Princes area. Border Prince book. It's literally just a technical manual on how to generate essentially an area yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
useful for GMs, but it is completely worthless to a player usually. So, as a result, it's one of the worst rated books that you could possibly read for second edition fantasy. It's just what most players won't be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of need a hook. You need a story to really get things going. And that is another damning thing, Squirrel Killer. This is its own game. You need at least a sample adventure. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be impressive, but something as quick as a very quick start adventure module like Stuffer Shack for Shadowrun. That's like one of the best made ones. You can use it to open up any Shadowrun game. Just something really simple. That's all you need. It's telling that he's coming at this from an academic. It's kind of also telling that it's more from philosophy than game design that he's coming from here.
Yeah, that is definitely something we said. As for the types of settings it recommends, things like a place of urban decay like the Rust Belt, a successful suburbia, New York City, wherever you the location of play with its familiar places, or like places suggested Berlin with the suggesting things of alienation and the tough price of life.
I like
Second,
how he kind of also shows his unintentional ignorance. He's not as metropolitan as he thinks. It's all
second, a,
America, except for the last one, where it's all about alienation because he doesn't know shit about Berlin.
second, a statement of the look and feel for demons in sorcery. They should have a similarly brief and evocative sort of description, visual and conceptual. Stuff like spiders and eyes. Examples from actual play and such are things like spiders and eyes, Frosetta, fleshy animalistic,
Frank Frazetta,
Cronenberg.
well known. He's a well-known artist. He did a lot of '80s metal albums as well as the covers for a lot of adventure pulp. He knows him
the
because he did a lot of art for Conan.
yeah.
Mhm. Cronenberg, body horror with mad insights, hardcore necromancy with dehumanized dead, and or something with at least one human feature and an intimate secret friendship.
Things are bad when I think Schalt actually described monsters slightly better.
Because they actually describe them instead of giving
Well, it's
brief
because he's ripping off
characteristics.
Lovecraft, which was well known for describing the monsters as best as he could. Even though they're completely undescribable, he describes them quite intricately.
Okay, Sorcerer
Wait,
gives
hold on.
you an
Can my demon be your mom? I don't know about that, Dark Sun.
No, the
I mean,
mimetic concept of your mom.
hey, wasn't that the
No,
wasn't
it's
that
the
the plot?
mimetic
No, no, what?
concept.
No, wait, that was
Uh,
a big sister. No, that was a big sister. My bad. That wasn't a mom.
It
no, I got it. It's a combination of um, Latin American mother, Asian tiger mom, and nagging Jewish mom.
Oh no, I'm envisioning it's the mimetic version of your mama jokes and your mom. So it's one part succubus and 5 parts Shub-Niggurath.
Anyway, in this role-playing game, becoming more effective through an experience isn't the point, because your demon you don't have things like in individual spell lists, because you already have an enormous amount of freedom in the game actions. You can do your demon can do almost anything. Is your character combat ineffective? Summon a parasite demon who protects you from bullets and can let you spit out napalm. Feeling left out? Contract your demon. Contract the demon your buddy banished during the last run and offer it a future summoning if it gives you dirt on the last master. Essentially,
This is just a shittier version of the spheres. Because the entire point of the spheres of magic and mage was, yes, there's a bit of structure, there's a bit of crunch, there's a bit of rigorousness, but it's all about the creativity and how you use the spheres. That's why you can unironically make Darkseid Phil as a mage. All you got to do is you got to figure out which spheres he would use, and it allows you to figure out the specific type of power set he'd need.
Oh, Jimmy, what'd you miss? Nothing much for the intro to this book, which it's an
Um,
academic's take on Mage.
an academic's attempt to make a game system, and his surprised expression when Mage the Ascension kicked its ass. Oh yeah, there's not going to be really any rule. Well, I mean, there's going to be rules, but he's just expecting you to do everything for him. This is kind of the prototype for most slipshod indie work, where they just expect you to do the lifting to cover for their to make up for their inadequacies.
on that related note, want to move on to the system?
Sure,
As light as it is.
Like 2 pages down.
because
Is
they talk about what the game master's supposed to do, and then another dead page. How many dead pages has there been in this PDF?
Mm.
At least 3.
It's that this game is dice based on fortune, to use the technical term proposed by Jonathan Tweet in Everway.
I don't give a shit about
hold
your esoteric attempt to prove that you're smarter than other people, asshole.
doesn't matter what sort of dice are used as long as all the dice used in the role-playing game have the same number of sides.
Okay.
Alright, D2s.
Yeah, just use D2. Actually, no, fuck it. There's actually a specialized D1 that is designed to never like it's geometrically designed to always roll on the 1.
I got a D10,000. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, get a D10,000. Fuck it. Get the huge metal polyhedron of nightmares. Slam it on the floor.
It's a dice versus system essentially, to where the dice itself doesn't matter. It's just because you're competing against other dice.
What?
That's silly.
Unlike unlike the method of many dice-based systems, the actual total value rolled is not relevant, nor is any number relevant. You are not aiming for a target value. Instead, you need to match the highest single value rolled by each party and see whose is highest. Even one die against 10 has a chance to win.
But
Okay, then. So,
what's the success value?
yeah, is it total addition of the dice? So let's say we're using D4s, right? We're using D4s because you have a bunch of them, or D6s because you're always going to have a bunch of D6s. Is it, let's say you have to roll 3 dice. Do you count the numbers? Do you add them up and then you have
Uh,
to
they
go against
they
it?
have the they have the example literally right below it.
All right, let's look.
Fred
So
and Fritz are fighting. Fred has 4 die. Fritz has 6. They're all 10 die. Fred's highest rolls on a single die is 10, while Fritz was 8. Fred wins because he got a 10. the result would have been the same if Fred's highest was 2 and Fritz's highest was 1. All that matters is
Here,
how high the die is and how many of them you get.
so if the two highest die are tied, go to the next highest pair and compare them until one opponent wins. If absolutely every pair is tied, either resolve the conflict in some even way or roll again.
You know, the biggest
So if we're
problem is
using oh, no, hold on. If we're using D2s, then it's impossible to get a win result. It's either tied or we resolve it some other way.
it's actually
I
also
mean,
kind of funny he's expecting you to use a D10 because it's literally around the time that World of Darkness came out, so it's really funny to me. Also, since this is supposed to be a new concept, wouldn't it have made more sense in your example to use D6s? They're much more commonly used in board games. Like, a lot more people are familiar with six-sided dice than they are with any other iteration. Also, the funny thing is, because ultimately it doesn't matter, you just need the higher result. The only thing that having different dice does is alter the percentile chances of victory. Like, to give you an idea, the game would be insane if you used a D percentile. Because you can win on a 3 if everyone rolled like 2s and 1s. Or alternatively, you can never defeat the 99 someone got, because of the literal chances based on that. He says
that's why
numbers don't matter, but the size of the dice definitely fucking does in terms of permutations and results.
that's why he's defaulting.
That's
That's why
why
he
he went
defaults
into
to D10.
philosophy and not a hard science like mathematics. I'm only slightly ribbing philosophy majors because it's more of the art of selling your ideas. I'm joshing.
And once the winner's determined, you figure out the degree of success, obviously by number of dice that show higher values than the highest of the loser's dice.
Okay.
They give the example again below. Fred rolled a 10, 4, 4, and 1, while Fritz rolled 8, 8, 6, 5, 2, 2. Fred wins, but since he only has one die over that's higher, his victory was a minimal one. If this was a race, he would have won by a hair. If he was trying to hit him, he would have only scuffed him.
Oh, by the way, fun fact. According to Squirrel Killer, since they looked it up, the game that he uses as his own reference is Diceless, which is pretty stupid because because it kind of makes it come off like he's hoping you don't know that. Because he's using a diceless game as the example for his dice-based game.
All right, the next page is nothing but is literally just philosophizing, kind of.
No. System. Little did I realize how controversial my whole notion of role-playing by using the dice had become by the middle 1990s, as it was completely counter to the conventional wisdom of roll versus roll.
Go fuck yourself, dude.
I
This
also
was this
felt
was still before the point of your role as a character. Oh, is it because you're comparing your work to Chronicles and World of Darkness? Is that why?
I don't think Chronicles was out by this point.
It's World,
uh,
I know.
I also felt right into the trap of the whoring for dice problem, which brings up the issue of authenticity, which I'll revisit throughout the annotations as well. I can teach all this at the table, but I am beginning to despair that can ever be taught de novo via text. Oh,
Bro,
okay.
you
I
used a
thought this.
diceless system as your example for your system. What the fuck were you expecting?
I was initially thinking like, oh, this is neat. This is an indie RPG. The guy's got this academic backstory. No, this guy's a pretentious asshole.
Yeah, I'm getting that impression. Oh, by the way, actually, yeah, D30 might not be a bad way to play the system. It would allow you to actually use a particularly rare system of dice. There's also the cursed D36, which uses 2d6.
Like it's saying, I'm beginning to despair that can ever be taught de novo via text. He's using Latin. He's basically saying, I could teach you all of this, but I'm not going to.
I don't think you'll really get it over this way.
You're not going to get it because I went to philosophy major. I got to understand a
Game
variety of
theory.
other people's works without actually being able to propose my own. Because I am the eponymous version of why Nietzsche would make fun of me. Because fun fact, Nietzsche started his career by refuting all of philosophy itself by attacking Aristotle. That's literally how he started his career. He started it by attacking classical philosophic traditions.
Default use of dice mechanic is to resolve. I'm going to start saying this in some sort of like fancy way. A stated intention of an action, i.e., its closure, only means you find out how it goes.
You know how
The
you can
dice,
also resolve a stated intention, as as what Cyanide mentioned, with revolvers, 6 chambers, and 1 bullet.
Yeah,
Unironically, yeah, you could determine it based on the size of the bullet hole, because allegedly it's not going to matter, right?
but yeah, I was just trying to skim over this part because it's just like
No,
I said,
I
it's
I
just
think
so
it's
packed full of
important to
nothing.
get an
oh,
insight into the character sometimes to do.
do need
The
is
character.
for what's being resolved, conflict of interest. Dice are only involved when the intention plus action mentioned above are interpretable as adverse to someone, whether the acting character or anyone else. Therefore, I jump over the fence in abstract isolation is not a roll in Sorcerer.
Yeah,
You
but
don't
you
even
can
have a
potentially fail it.
100% chance. It merely occurs. That is, unless the action is relevant to something adverse, like a chase.
That's pretty stupid, given that you can still potentially fail it and have the consequence of death. For example, if you're trying to climb a tall fence, it's entirely possible you fall and land on your head, thus ending your character's life.
What he's just saying is that wouldn't be a roll unless you were being chased up, and that point there's dramatas.
I get the feeling he's the type of person who legitimately throws a tantrum when his character dies doing something stupid.
He
It is
annotated this.
accurate to read Sorcerer as using dice only to resolve an opposed task.
Mainly because his system is so garbage because he based it on a diceless system that it can really only resolve opposed tasks, because that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
NDR stating this feels masturbatory. Oh, it does. I'm skipping this whole page on the size of the dice to go to reading the dice because this is the annotations, and I think this is where we'll get some real good introspection on the author. It's amazing how many people have made reading the dice harder than it is over the years. It's not like Risk, for example. Part of the problem may lie with
I,
whoever
I
linked the
fully expect
apprentice
he never
at
played
the
Risk.
Part of the problem may lie with whoever linked The Apprentice at the wiki article, which used more of a one-to-one dice match than the final version. Fuck?
He's relying on obscure details to try to
Right.
oversell his intellect.
I will also say that remember a lot of these annotations apparently come from essentially conversations he was having with people on fucking RPG forums in 19 mid 1990s.
It's not a good look though.
I know. I'm just saying for why some of this just feels so weird.
And of course he doesn't play Risk. He plays Laserburn on a more dramatic and more mature level that expresses emotion and intent and the tragedy innate within the human conflict, even within the enlightened era of the far future.
Eh.
I don't
I
even know
want
where
to
the hell you're
punch
pulling that from.
myself after saying that.
Where did you even pull that from? I'm looking for it. I'm looking for that on this page.
Oh, no, I just pulled that out of my ass.
The irony
It's
is
like,
it sounds exactly like something he'd say.
it does. Oppositional versus
Also,
orthogonal.
no. Here's the funniest shit to me, by the way. You can tell he's internally seething at at the World of Darkness because he keeps using D10s. He keeps using D10s as his example. He's trying so hard to suckle on the Maids the Ascension fan base.
How
It's
dare
really
Mage be better than me? All because it has a fucking meta plot and fucking background. You don't need background. It just strangles your ability to emote and imagine the possibilities.
This is a guy who got Mage the Ascension and was pissed that that his idea was the bad guy, the unambiguous bad guy. What do you mean what do you mean that Satan worshipping mage is bad? What do you mean? I don't understand.
See, it all depends on your assumption of what bad is. What kind of construct are you referring to? What origin? What are the biases and the background upon what we define as bad? And how does that relate to the metaphysical construct of what it means to be human?
Okay,
And
okay, okay.
that's why
That's a
Hollywood
bit.
is mechanically incapable of making characters you like because they accidentally low-key admit they're all evil.
Okay, that's a little too much. We're going a bit too much into the weeds.
I'm having fun. Oh well, no, this guy's going into the weeds.
I know. I'm just saying, like, we do at least want to get into a little bit of this stuff.
Oh, by the way, I did lie about one thing. The size of the dice do matter in just one way. The smaller the dice used, that is, the fewer number of sides, because I'm assuming you're fucking thick-headed, the more chance a character using less dice has to match to one who's using more. Yeah, it's almost like I pointed that out pages ago, because I have a functioning brain cell. I don't listen
Mhm.
to it much, but I do. I do sometimes. This is not a bad rip of Mage. This is something the guy has been working on for decades, and then Mage the Ascension completely sucked all of the oxygen out of the room, and you can kind of feel him low-key seething in his forum posts about it. He's very unhappy about role, as in ROLE, taking over ROLL. He's very pissy about it, and it's kind of funny.
The key to successful rolls in Sorcerer is to pile on the dice. This is where role playing comes into play. A dramatic or appropriate quip while announcing a task is a +1. Just stating, I take a swing at him, -1 die. Repeating a simple task after failing it, another minus die. An especially clever version of the action, +2 die. An especially stupid one, -2. The announced action moves the plot forward, +2 die. Obstructive, petty announced action, -2. All of this is cumulative.
All right.
This is essentially it's on the GM. The GM gets to decide whether or not what you're
Yeah,
doing is.
arbitrary modifiers.
Mhm.
High quality. Very cool. Oh, another thing is that it won't be enough. In a dice rolling situation, the player should not shift out of role playing mode, but get into it as possible. Which is funny because he kind of complained about that, what, like 2 pages ago? One or the other, Chief. One or the other.
Role playing is the best defense against danger and the best means to accomplish your character's goals.
Actually, let me be fair. Let me look, because his little whinge, I could have gotten it completely wrong. Using the dice, conventional wisdom of roll versus roll. Oh, he regrets actually not going pure theater of the mind. Okay, I needed to double check. Okay,
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was thinking that like you. I think you had that like the opposite way. Yeah, he likes it with the E, not the L.
fair enough. It's just it's kind. I don't know why he didn't even bother to just make it theater of the mind purely. Why didn't he use the diceless system that he bragged about?
Mm.
He could have. He mentioned it. He referenced it.
A crucial role-playing mechanic. There is one final extremely significant aspect of Sorcerer dice that everyone in the role-playing group should fully understand. Characters carrying out a series of related actions, whatever they may be, victories from one roll may be carried over as bonus dice for the next roll.
So essentially, the more successful you are with one action, the better chance you are of being successful with another.
Conversely, this means failure probably should punish failure. Because once you have a positive, that means that there's a hypothetical negative.
Unless if you, I think if you fail, you just get reset to your base amount of die.
Fair enough.
which is supposed to be based on your will, which we haven't gotten into yet, but it was stated somewhere. It was stated there here, yeah. If you have a will of 4, that means you get 4 die for will-based activity. Oh, so it's the number of die are based on attributes, which in that case was a will-based roll. So yeah, if you've got a 5 in whatever the stat is, you've got 5 die plus whatever you've got, or minus whatever you've got.
Based on the GM's arbitrary whims. Yeah,
This is
then
another
he gets
annotated
sidetracked in
yeah,
another navel gazing moment in oppositional versus orthogonal. He continues from there.
narration. The past decade, rules for who speaks when, relative to other game mechanics, have undergone a sea change. Breakout games for Wood, Inspectors, and The Pool.
I actually know inspectors.
Might not be obvious that Sorcerer played its own earlier role too.
I think this is cope.
S-
I think this is massive amounts of cope.
This is a definite sign that these annotations come from a lot later, since inspectors came out in 2002.
That's why I
Yeah,
So
think
yeah,
this
like a
is
lot.
a titanic amount of cope. Because no one fucking played these.
let's say this is a page later. Let's say I am playing a character who is shooting at somebody, and the dice are rolled. My shot arrives before the target character's action, and that player or GM chooses to abort the character action and roll full dice against my shot. I succeed, I fail. I might say the carpet rolls under your feet, or the gun misfires, or you simply miss, or anything. You might say it, or the GM might say it, if that's a different person, or someone else. The key is to make use of existing knowledge. The gun misfires might be exactly the right narration because we know the particular gun has been dropped and kicked around before my character picked it up. Or it might be a boring narration because it was merely sitting in my character's pockets until this moment. Whether a narration is good or bad as Sorcerer is always entirely specific to whatever fart-sniffing GM makes up.
Yeah. If you're engaged in play, then your ability to find that perfect narration is quite high. Yes and no.
Not everyone is inherently that creative.
There's a reason why some people actually like to use adventure modules. There's also a reason why sometimes people plan out sessions. Not everyone's innately organic. Not everyone can kind of go on the fly. Also, I'm gonna be real. I don't think a lot of people would actually give a shit if the gun misfired because it can happen even to a well-maintained gun. It could
You
just be
need to
you
know.
put bad ammunition.
Oh,
You need
hey,
see. You
speaking of
need to
which,
know. You need to know why in the narrative what the result of the die actually concretely manifests on reality.
sorry, but speaking of it, because you're going back to the fart sniffing bonus by dice. Oh boy, does this need clarification. All right, you as the social GM, you are not the judge of quality. You instead should consider yourself the voice of group engagement. When someone does something that makes anyone or everyone react in a certain engaged, heightened way, then it becomes worth a bonus die.
So spineless. Got it.
That's all. So you're not saying, gee, I'm stroking my chin and deciding whether you're acting well enough. You're saying, well, cool, or seeing someone else say that, or nod, or smile, or grunt, whatever, and then remembering that it's worth a bonus die. The rule is based on acknowledging something said or done was fun for you. For bonus die are not incentive. The net effect may be to see more of it, but that is not the point. The point is to celebrate the medium you're utilizing together.
Things are great when there's just random bits in between the rambles. Reminder that this guy's supposed to be an academic, right? This doesn't read like a research paper. This reads like the manifesto of a guy who got kicked out of academia and is bitter about it and has entered early stage schizophrenia.
Well, no, because we do have the writings from one guy who was like that, and he was much more eloquent.
Yeah. I'm
Good
just
old
making
Ted.
fun of the fact that this is very disordered. Yeah, not everyone is Adam. Not everyone can kind of go on the fly. It's both a good trait and a bad trait because sometimes you come up with the initial rabbit hole and you go down the wrong path. There's negatives to being an organic DM. Sometimes you literally just kind of the rabbit hole you went down doesn't actually kind of work out narratively because you're also kind of working against other people. There is sometimes a benefit to just kind of taking time to look around and actually observe the forest rather than doing your sick flips to avoid the trees because you're basically on a ketamine bender.
He has a diagram for his fucking bibliography.
All right, let's take a look
With
at.
an
Let's
H.P.
take a look.
Lovecraft quote. With an H.P. Lovecraft quote.
Hey, it's the case of Charles Dexter Ward. That's
Oh,
basically
and
Lovecraft's only real
he
big
was
novel.
saying the Hellbound Heart, the basis for the Hellraiser movie series, but much better, especially because the demons are never explained or seen very clearly.
The Hellbound Heart's actually not that great of a book, though.
It is very influential. That can't
You
be
It's
see,
an
denied,
it's
though.
influential book, but it's not as great as what he's selling it to be.
it's literature. Which means it's better than the
Oh,
plebeian
and then
need
and then
for
right beside it,
violence and blood.
and then right beside it, a personal demon. The Adventures of a staid prof and his hot demon babe. My top pick for the modern sorcery movie premise.
I don't need to
Probably
know
his
about your
fantasy.
terrible softcore pornography videos, dude. Devil's Day by James Blish, one of the classic modern sorcery tales and required reading for running apocalyptic versions of Sorcerer. Okay. The Robert Bloch work. All of Bloch's stories are scary and gruesome. This one's a real demonic possessor winner. Uh,
Medea.
yeah. Why do I get the feeling he kind of just randomly selected these?
No, you have to look at the diagram.
Seductions,
Diagram
Very much.
explains it
Darklings, and
all.
Crucifix by Ray Garton, the ultimate and uncompromising, gory, straight-laced, straight-ahead horror fiction. Relentless on demons, sex, and splat. So what you're saying is this guy is just a Derek who accidentally managed to finish his philosophy degree and didn't destroy his mind on weed.
Oh my god, you're right.
He's a big Robert E. Howard fan, which I think is fucking comical because this is the modern era setting.
Oh, by the way, sorry, but you guys got to scroll down. Get to things
If
like the
you've never
comics.
read the original 30s Conan fiction before, try it. It's never been imitated successfully. Uh-huh.
I was gonna say move on to the comics and movie section. Some of these are hilarious.
Oh no, one of the book, The Devil Wise of Li Fong. Good old mystic demon romance in medieval China. Why are all these stories about shy guys with badass demon girlfriends, I wonder?
What a fucking loser.
Ah, this is Derek Shaw,
What a
except instead of
fucking
tentacles,
loser.
it's demons.
Derek got married at least. I don't know if this guy did.
I think maybe.
Of course you're a Mike Moorcock fan. Allegedly. Allegedly. I'm calling suspicion on that. Underground and retro fantasy horror and pulp from 80s comics. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of some of the shit heavy metal came out with.
Oh god, look at the movies.
Lovecraft, Howard, Sleeping Beauty of all things. Okay.
Kombat.
He cites Mortal Kombat as a reference.
Better Tomorrow, The Bride with White Hair, Anibaba Argento, and Akira. No Junji Ito, for shame.
The Vampire
You
Princess
see, you see,
Miyu.
he doesn't debase himself with the oriental concept of manga. He prefers the classic American stories.
Well, except for Vampire Princess Miyu.
I actually kind of find it funny that this asshole picked Akira when the manga's very different.
Also, it's written in a foreign language I can't understand, therefore I'm discarding it. There's no dubbing a manga.
In Imp, I'm trying to say there is one. The Vampire Princess. That one is just a full-on old manga.
And by the way, yes, why are these stories about
I
shy
think
guys
these
with
two.
badass demon girlfriends, I wonder? Because you're a loser. I'm sorry,
Movie
you're just a loser. Just embrace it.
He cites Mortal Kombat because of Shang Tsung.
Oh hey, oh hey, pretentious attracts pretentious. Hi, Garth Ennis fan.
Some of his work is good. We can't throw out the baby with all the bathwater, even
I
if it
mean,
is
yeah,
stinky.
let's be fair, Hellblazer's a pretty good pick. It's just whenever Garth Ennis remotely touches anything resembling superheroes that he can go fuck himself.
Sleeping Beauty. Maleficent is magnificent. Oino's
Yes, we
a good
get it.
kind of
You got
woman.
your first boner because you saw her. I get it. Who cares?
The X-Files, the king of all subtle, lurking horror TV shows. Well, maybe back then.
I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's a good TV show. Also, no Twilight Zone for fucking shame.
Doesn't have anything to do with demons.
Oh, it does. Oh, it's
And
I
in
assure
his
you,
mind, in
several
his mind.
episodes
But
do.
you see the demons. You don't manifest them in your mindscape.
I love how this is basically just more navel gaze. Does this guy also
Oh
fry
no
his
no
brain
no
with
no no
weed
no,
on the
dude!
weekends?
If you want navel gazing, let me read to you some navel gazing. The plot cannot be prepped. Just forget the whole idea. This is about making stories that genuinely are immersive in a creative way, not about one person delivering it all, not even about one person improvising them on the spot. And most importantly, play does not guarantee them. You can only get a story from Sorcerer if it's something you and everyone else absolutely fantastically want to do. You can't game the universe.
Oh,
There are no breakpoints to exploit, no funky modifier stack, no optimal builds. There are plenty of tactics, but no strategy. Your character will only and ever merely get at a shot at what he wants. Take your shot. You can't be locked down. And nothing is sacred. There is no safety net. Blah, blah, blah.
I just wanted to point out that this is the same guy who got confused by his own fucking system and regularly struggled when he fucking ran it. Keep that in mind. He
See,
mentions that in his opening acknowledgments. Keep that in mind.
and you see, this is why you can see from this guy's perspective, he'd probably be navel gazing down at Lord of the Rings because it confined and restricted the definitions of fantasy uh, to a colonial view of the or romantic view of England, stripped, which in itself wraps up an imperialist system that confines and restricts us only to what the imperial core decides is legitimate.
Oh
I
no,
mean, I'm gonna be honest.
it's because what would
None of
happen.
his navel gazing wasn't about that kind of focus. His navel gazing was just purely academic focus. No, no, he doesn't seem to have any concern for culture of that sort.
That's why J.R.R.
Doesn't
Tolkien would just, if they ever met, he would have told him to stop masturbating to succubi and learn to become a better human.
Anyway, oh well, that's some actual semi crunch to this book. Creating your sorcerer.
I love the expression on this person's face. There's a reason I used it for the thumbnail.
Yeah, this is the person reading the book.
This is yeah, this is our reaction in real life. Our mind's not actually getting blown because this is basically just
Oh,
Schalt from the words of a pseudo-intellectual.
I always thought it was a bunch of horrible things were going into the brain.
Oh no,
It could be
for
both.
me this is basically just, oh, we're reading a more pseudo-intellectual version of Chult as thrown through the lens of Mage the Ascension.
Anyway, anyway, the how to make a character. Your scores should have a total of 10. Set your humanity as the level of your stamina or will, whichever is higher. Choose your descriptions for all three scores. Choose your cover and price. Choose a telltale. List important non-player characters and places, and create your starting demon.
Oh, by the way, there's two more things I have to observe. One, you noticed how his system is copying closer and closer to the world of darkness? And two, he never mentioned Shin Megami Tensei. For shame.
I was to say, funny enough, yeah, that's actually originally where I first heard about this from some old Shin Megami Tensei boards, not Persona boards, Shin Megami Tensei
Yeah,
boards.
for
Is it,
shame. He never mentioned that as a source, even though that was actually a game that you could have played over here.
No,
it's because we
probably. Let's
couldn't.
be real. He probably just doesn't even know it exists.
What if we tried to copyright Planet of Shadows?
Don't play Sorcerer, it scares the bejesus out of me. Why? It's just a shitty fucking version of playing Nefandi.
That's why.
Oh my god, the system's so horrible. Play Mage instead. Oh hey, look, he copied he copied the same thing as Space Filler. This
This
entire
application
section
begins
is.
with the two statements I described earlier, and I do mean only those statements with no further elaboration.
Where's this?
The same page you're on.
Okay, sorry. I'm just like my brain is starting to hemorrhage, but it's not because this book is too good. It's because this book is such a slapdash piece of shit.
For Sorcerer, the starting sentence is a minimal context for the central role of character. Character creation is a door play for everyone. All right. Then can I be a hippie pimp in the Middle Ages?
I mean,
Actually,
unironically, why not? You made a pact with a demon who has the purview over time, and well, your pact was you got slipped into a new time.
I actually do remember when I read this book myself, they did have a thing in regards to a sort of a Salem-esque setting,
Of
or at
course,
least sort of idea of a thing.
of course. The starting setting
So,
is a minimal context for a central role of characters. So
oh,
yeah, just slap it together and call it good.
I like this last sentence. That's why, yeah, many of the design features of character creation are high in color, but not especially in niche why or defining. As in Sorcerer, you only begin with what is about to be changed.
So what you're saying is that you had a disturbingly high number of people showing up in blackface. I get it. I understand.
Christopher Kubakesix
Well,
rightly
actually,
pointed.
actually, I do want to bring up. Apparently, this guy shares the name with a Imperial Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan,
The author or this man?
the author.
That is very unfortunate, and I imagine he has
From what I
gotten a
can
few
tell, they
complaints.
are not. He does not have a history of white supremacy.
Is not, but
I'm very strongly aware of that. I'm just saying that's
I get
very
the feeling.
unfortunate.
I get feeling the man who designed Troll Babe and Slay with Me is not. It does not have a lot of high tier political thought going through his head.
Actually, you can say that, but remember, Empire of the Petal Throne, one of the oldest takes on a fantasy setting not tied at all to the standard European fantasy that Tolkien created, was created by a man who denied the Holocaust and was actually a regular poster on denial forums on another alternative, and wrote for neo-Nazi organizations. So you never quite know.
That's interesting.
You didn't
Did
know
not.
that, did you?
Yeah.
Tecumel, the setting. It's basically it was a setting for D&D very early on. We're talking White Book era. That's lensed through basically the Hindu world, the Hindu
Oh
Persian
yeah,
world.
that explains it. Yeah, that explains it. White supremacists and a vague tittering on on Hindu mythology. Yeah,
Well,
it's like peanut butter
Also
and jelly.
Persian mythology since it takes elements of Islam as well.
Yeah, but peanut butter and jelly.
it's not that Semitic shit. That's why they
Anyway,
like
your
it.
scores. The scores you've got to deal with. Stamina, will, and lore. Uh, create a number that equals 10.
Oh,
Two six
we're not
two
reading
five
the.
four one
Okay,
one two
Not
seven.
reading about about what to do for talking during character creation.
fair enough.
I, I just
I,
I just
I, I
need.
want to at least get a little of the
I know.
points
I
out of
just
the
needed
way.
to alert everyone to the fact that there is a segment on talking during character creation.
That's why I was tempted to continue.
Yes, I want to get to some of the crunch.
What
At
little
least
there is.
yeah, I want yeah, that's why I want to get into it. Stamina is your body, everything. It's your physique, your strength, your constitution, everything. Will
Okay.
is your personality, your strength of will, your charisma, your mind, your clarity of thoughts. And lore is what you know. What is good? What is good? Is stamina 2 or 3 good or is it bad? 2 or 3 is functional
Normal.
within a society.
For stamina
No.
and will only.
Yeah.
However, lore, anyone above 0 is reserved for sorcerers.
Yes, and since you have to have at least a minimum of 1.
See, all those NPCs are idiots. They don't understand the true reality.
They didn't blitz their mind on ayahuasca and realize the Christ consciousness grid like I have.
Yeah, but instead they put their points into into stamina and will.
Which means I could have this. I could have stamina 9, will 0, and lore 1,
You need a will. You need at least 1 point in will. You
and
have
an
to.
8.
It did mention you needed a minimum.
Will less than 3 is probably risky to the point of life-threatening. Oh no! Because the only thing sorcerers can do is make pacts with demons because they can't do anything for themselves because they're pathetic and stupid and don't know the Kabbalah. I love the idea there's actually an entire group of sorcerers that are all based on Kabbalah and esoteric Christianity doctrines that just laugh at these fucking idiots.
Because, oh, you're all going to hell.
Not only are you all going to hell, you couldn't even figure out the divine you couldn't even figure out the divine code that our Lord gave us.
Humanity is also a score. Starting humanity equals higher is equal to whatever is higher of stamina or will. But after character creation, this will change.
So your humanity can be tied to how buff you are?
Yeah, that's literally something they mentioned.
Or how healthy you are, yeah.
You also get descriptions. You can take 2 descriptions, which not only add some depth to the character, but it could also allow the GM to decree whether a character's attempt at a task to get a penalty or bonus die. Oh, that's funny. You're actually putting mechanical anything into this book. Like, there's actual mechanical bonus. Holy shit. Also, he goes into scores. It's hard to describe what I really wanted the scores to be. They aren't supposed to be simulative capability limits of the characters, but the degree of force the character can exert outside of himself or herself, respectively affecting physical, material, behavior, and reality. Oh, please tell me he was part of the same Usenet groups as Movie Bob when he was an esoteric atheist. Please tell me. Please tell
Like, he
me.
was a what? I know he was a libertine. I didn't know he was an esoteric atheist.
He for a while basically was Levain Satan Light, Movie Bob. He
Which
rejected
is
them
funny,
because he thought they were too stupid.
because this does Rita as a more eloquent movie, Bob.
I was gonna say more educated.
I love the mental image if they're in the same Usenet group or the equivalent of Usenet because remember I don't think Movie Bob would be able to get on Usenet.
By the way, hey, look, a sheet.
Oh yeah, let's look at the character sheet. There you go.
This looks awful.
Uh,
This looks awful.
it's functional. I've seen uglier sheets. Let's be fair.
This had to have been done in Word.
Oh, it was. This
No,
was
I don't. I
done
don't. I
in
don't think
Word.
it was because look at the second page.
Oh God, he has his own. Oh, that's. Oh no, no,
See the
no, no.
you see
Oh no.
pattern here
Something like this
represents the
would be an
Nietzschean
absolute.
concept of
Something like this would be an absolute pain in the ass to try and make in Word.
Oh no, you can do it. I like the idea. He spent an inordinate amount of time formatting this in Word. Do they ever do good books? Yeah, we do. We have quite a few of them. This is just not one of them.
And trust me, though, this is still miles. At the very least, this is just sort of pretentious and sort of just a big nothing. We've read bad books before.
Oh yeah,
I still don't think
this
this,
game is functional. This game is functional. It's just the creator is such a pretentious asshole.
and it unfortunately came out at a time where other books were doing very similar ideas.
he's
Yeah,
having a paragraph on answering why did he use stamina instead of anything else.
no one cares.
No one gives a shit.
Yeah, that's the thing. Oh yeah, that's another thing with the PDF we're looking at. This is essentially the final version that came out before the author just essentially just let the site get nuked. So it's got all of his notes from like decades of him just of decades of him just putting little addendums in here.
I think my favorite was the delusional part where he said, "Oh yeah, I'm a groundbreaking dude in the game
Like,
industry."
this is like going. This is like going to probably. This is like going to someone's like this is like going to like someone's like actual novel, but they have the entirety of all the little notes that they've put for themselves there when like in just in like pages between the pages.
This game requires a political compass for your demons. Oh my god. I please let this page be their political compass for their demons. Oh man, that'd actually be magical. It'd be horrible.
Oh, I like this. So this
By the way, here's all the descriptions you get for stamina and will. They're
clean living.
yeah.
You're active, healthy, but not particularly combat orientated.
Yeah.
Will, your belief system. You have a theory of the cosmos that explains to you, everyone else, and the demons to your satisfaction. This could be anything from extreme rationalism to a traditional religious belief.
Okay.
I'd love to know how rationalism would describe floating thing with eyes.
Aliens.
Yeah.
Don't respond to stimuli.
Also, user and manipulative, because being a disgusting human being actually means you have an excellent will and you don't have a cluster B personality disorder, which indicates that you have a malformation in your thinking on the world. I like how half of the will benefits are the signs of an unhealthy mind.
I mean, if you're playing Sorcerer, you probably already have an unhealthy mind.
Fair enough. There's a certain mania you have to play this rather
There,
than mage.
the
Okay, the
even
fetish is
even the dude at the beginning essentially said, if you're playing a character in this game, you're already damned, whether literally or figuratively. You're not a good person.
That's only because he only made sorcerers get their power from one really boring source. Let's be fair.
hold on,
It's kind of
lore.
boring.
The fetish is creeping in again. On one of the descriptors for lore, Nafe, which is if you have a lore of one, all you know is that there are demons and you've got one. Good examples are the little kid's imaginary friend or the succubus whom the good house husband wakes up next to one night. Oh,
He wants the mag. He wants the magical girlfriend. He wants Slum.
I don't know what to say about that, so I'm going to instead,
Move on.
yeah.
now realize what kind of porn he likes.
Oh, also, where's my intelligence? Yeah, I mean, don't you want to play don't you want to play the special needs sorcerer? I'm just now envisioning like a person with special needs summoning an otherworldly eldritch abomination and just going, "Hi, doggy," and and,
I think there
and
was an.
hugs him.
I think what
I will admit I've always particularly found intelligence as a tabletop RPG stat to be kind of one of the hardest to really.
Quantify.
Yeah, especially because I'm not even especially because like it's like first I'm not even gonna get into the what is intelligence, but just because it can be honestly frustrating to play. Like it can be one of the more frustrating to have to regards. Like if you are playing a super genius and then but you want to do the stupid action that no genius thing, it kind of restricts you, or if you're playing a dumb character and but you, the player, see a pretty, at least to you, pretty clever little solution. But would your character see that? No.
And that's why I kind of like, admittedly, for all of its faults, I think D&D did a pretty decent job in cutting the ability to recall and store information as one form and then common sense and wisdom from learned experience as the other. And technically, charisma being the force of will, the ability to enunciate and explain your ideas in a digestible and interesting way.
As well as
Oh,
just sort of a force of will you can put upon others.
I think
okay.
that's a pretty good way to quantify because it covers. Technically, there's even more intelligences than that, but like it does a pretty good job at covering most of them.
Nicholas Liu brings up a horrifying realization. Christian the Sorcerer.
I mean, yeah.
Christian the Beast.
If you wanted to make Christian in the setting, you could.
It's Sonichu. It's Sonichu.
It's a dimensional merge.
Oh yeah, this is I would say this has even less mechanics than Powered by the Apocalypse. The difference is the game system I think is better than Powered by the Apocalypse at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. And I say in this case the book itself is less pretentious. The author is not.
Oh yeah, if this was written by a person whose ego is a little more in check, because reminder, he wrote this when he was proclaiming, "Oh yes, I'm part of a groundbreaking work." The
Yeah,
person
because
says, eye twitching, foaming at the mouth slightly because Mage the Ascension and Ars Magica, which it came before Mage the Ascension, sucked all
also
the oxygen out of the room.
if nothing else, this book hasn't gone into any moral superiority, only academic.
Academic superiority and the occasional reveal that he wants to wake up with a hot mommy demon.
Anyway, but now we're moving on to the two scores that have been dressed but not really doing anything. Humanity.
Yep.
Humanity
Which we'll
is
talk
what
about
makes your
more in
character.
saying we'll talk about more about that in another section.
It is
Although it's
what.
the most important element of the game.
Yeah, because as it says, it defines your character. It is your empathy, your social consciousness, your honor, and your soul.
I think the biggest problem I have with this book, because he keeps mentioning and hammering over, he really just wants to design demons. Unironically, I think this book would never have existed if he played Shin Megami Tensei. I think he would have just thrown away everything to become addicted to it. I
And
get the feeling
coverage.
he'd be a big fanboy of it if he knew about it, to the point where he destroyed himself.
A cover is just well, what do you do outside of summoning demons?
And if it gives you any sort of relevant skill or other such.
He
See,
even
this
said,
could be
wait, he even says in the notes that a character could be the president of the United States with a cover of 1.
how?
It's
Uh,
supposed to just be the. I think it's supposed to be that if the
if
lower
he's
your cover is,
bad,
the more removed from society you are. Like
so,
you could be the CEO of some company, but essentially, if you have low cover, that essentially means you're increasingly, essentially, you're not caring about the world, about the normal world anymore. You're increasingly becoming wrapped up in all this other shit and losing touch with it.
sir, you have to
Ah,
stop having
okay.
sex with. You have to.
Meanwhile, it
You have to
also
stop.
states it also states. Can we finish the point, Imp? And the other point it mentions sort of with humanity that that humanity only comes into play in regards to having statistical effects when it's at 0 or below. Essentially, the idea is that even if you're high humanity, you can do bad. Essentially, your humanity doesn't interfere with what you can do.
Just imagining.
Also, I noticed that he threw in a little jab at, because this was written in the 2000s, he threw a little jab at Bush Jr., which is fair enough, but still.
I am imagining though the CEO with low cover. Yeah, the assistant walks in. Sir, you have to stop masturbating and pretending that you're having sex with Slava of the Seven Hells. Quarterly
How do
reports
you
are
know her
indicating
name?
where
You could wait.
because you say it so many times, but quarterly reports are down, and we're gonna have to declare bankruptcy in 3 months.
Oh,
I
I
know what
have
I
the
must do.
solution. Don't worry. I have the
Or
solution.
Kuming.
I have the solution. Sir, wait, sir. What? Wait, where did $500 million just enter our account from?
Don't think about it.
Sir, the IRS. Sir, the IRS.
Oh,
What
one
IRS?
second. No,
Oh,
one second.
it's from the Cayman Islands, obviously.
Actually, wait a minute. Yeah, you couldn't you just summon a demon and then just erase the IRS as a concept?
Depending,
You
depending on
could.
how much.
You could. That's the problem with his secret world scenario. He didn't put any thought into it.
Well, there is one thing because it mentions the price. Everything comes with everything. Everything you want to do will with a price. A player must have a problem that arises, blah blah blah, for the practice of your forbidden art. It comes with a penalty die in at least some situations during play. The rule of price states that a price which conveys no penalty doesn't count. A helpful concept is that people are often worst at things that they care most about. A lecher could very well have a penalty on interactive rolls to seduce, etc. Things like being obnoxious or having an enemy cannot be taken as prices because they don't cause the player to be bad at doing things.
Because I only have a very narrow scenario because I only have a very narrow concept, and I'm not actually that creative.
I mean, you could
So,
still erase you could still erase the IRS. You would just now have to deal with the state taxes.
mhm. Stuff like an invalid price would be a willingness, a inability to kill, or greed, or having an enemy, while a valid price would be you're complete paranoid, you're arrogant, you're in denial that your demon even exists.
These don't really feel like actual prices though.
Well, they do because they're supposed to have literal like -1s to certain things.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
Hold on,
aware,
if
but
it's a minus one, then on a D2, the highest I would lose automatically for all using D2s.
no, because it's a dice pool system. Remember,
out of dice pools, dude, not dice
it's not
numbers.
numbers, it's
Yeah,
pools.
but in order to win, you need the highest number.
Yes, well, theoretically, if we're using D2s,
It's not a
you can still roll a
subtraction to
2.
your result. It is a subtraction from your pool. You can have like
Oh,
5 D2s. You'd only lose one.
Yeah, yeah, and theoretically, you just rolled all 2s, and the opponent enemy just rolled all 1s. You win. Didn't matter if they had 10 D10s, 10 D1s, 2s, whatever.
All I do know is these prices don't really feel like aspects of you giving up parts of yourself for the demon. You get what I mean? Like it doesn't feel
consequential.
correct. It doesn't feel correct for what the actual thing you're doing is.
Hmm. Anyway,
Like
but
a price for me would be you lose some of your vitality. So in this case, you would lose a stamina die. Like you
mhm,
sacrifice some of your health, or you have to do
or you
blood
gave up
ritual.
or you've given up a day of you've given up certain parts of your life, like certain days of your life you are just voids. You were are just voids now. You don't remember the day you met your wife. Never happened. He took that from you.
Another example would be you have to sacrifice you have to sacrifice your ability to taste or touch,
Mm-hmm.
which that can be quite misery inducing.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's
Oh,
something
why
that
is Grady invalid? Because in his mind greed is good, I guess. I don't know. All I do know is that actually having the obsession over money could actually ruin you because it
but
ruins your
anyway,
relations, but no.
let's see how the eponymous demons are made. Let's move on to that.
Yeah, because yeah, let's go with starting demons.
As it puts here that the only demon you'll ever see the stat sheet of is the one you were going to help design. Everything else, the GM is just going to sort of just tell, like, even if you make a pact with it, you're never gonna know its full scope.
Which I think is rather silly because I think you can eventually study and dissect and break down, you know?
Mm-hmm. The rules to make a demon come in Chapter 3. The only blah blah blah. Only one starting demon is allowed per character, although a character is free to attempt contracts, summons, and bindings at any time.
What the hell is this? Suitable protagonist. A character which should be someone movie viewers or comic viewers would be willing to root for. That doesn't mean they have to be virtuous, nice, or anything else. But if you wouldn't spend $7.50, that's fucking dated. To see a story about this person, why play or GM them? Because sometimes it's actually really funny to play the character that people least expect. This guy
Yeah.
fundamentally fails to understand that. For example, I'm going to actually use Pokemon as a really good example. Um, One of the most memorable characters is Larry from Scarlet and Violet because his entire shtick is he's uninteresting and ordinary. He's a very tired salaryman. He cares more about just finding the next place to eat or dealing with all of his debt or the fact that he's overworked. He's a very, Very simple guy. But because of that, and he's in a world of the fantastic, you find him interesting. Sometimes it's actually fun to play the kind of boring assessor, the boring auditor who made a pact with the demon just to get better at their job. Like not even out of anything ambitious. It is just boredom. Stasis incarnate.
Unfortunately, the demon doesn't even know how to fix it.
Unfortunately, even the demon. No. The idea is the demon's actually pissed off because they were like, I was expecting a more interesting person to be bound to. And he's like annoyed and trying to backstab this boring fuck. It is it is as interesting as you can make them. It is not hard.
Anyway,
And
the
that is why
next
I feel like this guy never actually played as many games as he claims he has. If he did, he would have known that.
Anyway, the next few pages are really just kind of a recitement of what we've just gone on through, as well as just some ideas you might want to do.
By the way, I think this is more and more proving that it's not that you have to read the entire book to because it's like critical. It's more of a case of holy shit, this is such a disorganized pile of shit. You kind of have to just to figure out where half the shit is.
There's some example player characters they show up. These might be interesting.
All right, character creation example.
Yeah, there's
Uh,
a few people with like almost sort of like almost cyberpunk-esque kind of art style.
Harry Scarborough.
Yep. Making character
The
and sorcerer should result in the protagonist who's interesting enough to make a story about. In this case, I'm thinking about a competent, hardened fellow who isn't going to worry much about the law, an experienced FBI agent, perhaps, that leads to the notion that he's mostly concerned with human villainy than demonic stuff. Perhaps isn't an expert sorcerer. It also brings the possibility regarding federally sanctioned sorcery. Oh, like the X-Files, says the GM. No, I retort. I'm thinking about a hard case here. Someone who has spent at least a decade carrying out grimy ops, who's traded away valuable pieces of himself for powers he doesn't understand, and only now is beginning to question the ultimate goals. He's not an investigator, he's a warrior, which, in my opinion, absolutely proves that he has no understanding of what the fucking point of the FBI is.
They
He accidentally made a
investigate
person
and
who
shit.
should have been in the U.S. Army Rangers. He accidentally made a U.S. Army Ranger or a former combat veteran, and he doesn't understand that he made that. Maybe you should have focused less on the hot succubus mommy waifus and maybe picked up a wider variety of knowledges, just from reading. Reading does actually help you understand a lot of things, even if you don't necessarily have experience with it.
But he has read so much things. A lot of, pulp novels and pulp comics and horror movies and a lot of other of this fantasy stuff.
I get the feeling he probably wouldn't. He probably hasn't even read the example of pulp itself, John Carter.
mm,
By the way, if he did, he would have
Does
actually maybe have understood a little bit about the gentlemanly officer, because the main protagonist
anyway,
in the first three books was a gentlemanly officer.
anyway, Scarborough, stamina 5. He's a combat vet. Is good at fighting. Will 3, mostly focused on his esteem. He does. Lord 2 doesn't know that much. Cover 3. Humanity 4. -1 price from being burnt out means that he's not really good at talking to people. His sorcery signal is that he has a ornate tattoo on his upper chest. His demon is Wu, a demon that takes the form of a 9mm automatic handgun.
And
With
named
its with,
named after a notorious filmmaker who is known for his gunfights with pistols.
Mhm. Its telltale is that it has an occasionally mobile red eye near its grip.
Okay.
The demon's speciality is that it can kill things a lot. Is that it's really good at killing shit. Special damage, lethal, and the ability to cloak itself. With its desire is corruption. It wants to kill. It literally says it needs to have blood drip down its barrel. It likes killing things.
I just like
Uh,
killing.
the binding role, how Harry handles Wu is that he practices if practices with the demon as if it was just a normal gun.
This seems kind of
Well,
boring.
Oh, here's the next one.
I think
Armand DeVito.
in all fairness, for the purpose of it, it says that this part is that it is supposed to be a person who is treating a demon just like it's an object and doesn't essentially treat it with any of the sort of mysticism.
No, I mean the demon itself is also boring.
He just likes killing.
Yeah.
Armand DeVito.
Who suspiciously might look like the author of the book.
Not really. No,
No,
not really.
but it does include his poorly disguised fetish.
Yes. However, he is a gigolo.
Probably what this guy wished he was able to do at one point.
Armand's demon is named Jewel, a passing as a dangerous, beautiful woman. Her telltale is a cat pupil in one eye.
So he accidentally revealed that he likes to cheat. So is Jewel a drag queen demon?
No, I think it's the idea that since it's a demon,
No.
since it's a demon, it doesn't. This is just a form it's taking, so it's not. It's taking the form of a woman.
Also, could you pick a less prostitute-based name?
Well, I mean, aren't they both prostitutes?
Yes.
I don't know. It's just
Jewel's desire is mischief, while its need is for affection.
of course it is, because it's your poorly disguised fucking fetish.
I like this. Armand has always been a likable, manipulative skunk. He hasn't done anything evil out of pure luck and inattention, has done good only because it wasn't hard at the time. However, now he's found someone who's using him, and even worse, she's a demon. Rob Schneider in Poorly Disguised Fetish.
Actually, let me do that. Armand has always been a likable, manipulative skunk.
No. Now they're bound together, a real commitment, just as he's always feared. To deal with this, Armand's gonna have to either become a much better or much worse person, and fast.
Armand's always been a likable, manipulative skunk. He's a gigolo with the heart of gold.
Armand's lifestyle has caught up with him. His previous lover was a mobster's mistress. The one before that was a gorgeous movie star who overdosed. And somehow he's ended up with a suitcase full of unmarked bills. He's got no clue where they come from. He would have been shot last night if it wasn't for Jewel pulling him out.
That's not how the South Park joke goes. I'm just trying to do a full South Park joke.
Who's in this late '90s, early 2000s direct to DVD movie?
Stephanie Page, the next
this
character.
wouldn't be this wouldn't be direct to DVD. This would actually be on the silver screen.
Yeah, I mean they could have probably made it for like I don't know $3 million, like $3 to $10 million, and it does feel like a Rob Schneider movie.
Which former SNL cast member is playing the main character?
Rob Schneider is Sex Devil, rated PG-13. There we go.
Anyway, Stephanie Page, the high schooler demon girl.
All right.
Stamina 2. Will 4, vengeful. Lore 4, lone adept. Cover 4, high school kid.
Skill, don't come to school tomorrow, smiley face.
Stephanie's demon is Kirch, a mode of floating light that occasionally turns into a horrific floating face.
Okay.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm seeing a Sublime Mime. Charlie Sheen is the.
I can see Charlie Sheen playing the character.
Yeah, this is Charlie Sheen, and who would be the?
God, I haven't thought of Charlie Sheen in years.
Who got out of pornography like in the 90s and started actually being like a legit actress at that time? I don't know. I feel like a former person who did porn getting into acting would be the temptress, so to speak, or someone really young who just got casting couched, probably by Harvey Weinstein. It's the time period. You gotta keep that in mind.
The demon for Stephanie is Kirch, an inconspicuous floating mode of
Yeah,
light.
he just said that.
You weren't listening.
I was not.
You were too busy thinking of Charlie Sheen plowing a prostitute for
Anyway,
tune of
next
$1
up,
million if it moved.
great, more things on the diagram. I don't want to look at the diagram anymore. Moving on.
Um,
Stephanie was based loosely on the Demon Baby comics and the Buffy Vampire Slayer. Her father was an adept betrayed and killed by his apprentice. She saved his most important books and taught herself sorcery to avenge his death. She's tough and deadly under her normal chick appearance, but demons just think she's a tender morsel.
This is lame. All of these concepts are fucking lame.
Yeah. Honestly, the most interesting one, just because of is hilariously the FBI agent because it's so mundane.
Yeah?
It's like, what you got there? What you got there, Henry? A demon, but it's like a gun. Yeah, it's a gun.
Yeah, I
It's a
found it.
demon. Yeah,
shoots
yeah.
demon
What do you use
bullets.
it for? I shoot things.
Yeah, I
That's what you contracted with forces outside of our domain just to have a better gun. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of an accident.
The
I'm just,
FBI. Honestly, I'm not really sure what my government handlers were thinking.
I'm imagining just the demon's like, come on, shoot me, I need to shoot, I need to kill, All right.
Kill your
And
boss. Kill your
well,
boss. You'll be
like,
free. You'll be free to do whatever you want. Kill your boss. And he's just
woo,
ignoring
I'll
him
be in
completely.
jail. Be
I
in jail. Listen, I bring you out on the shooting range every Saturday. That's more than enough.
Need bloodshed. I shoot pigs, not human blood.
You need human blood now?
I've always
that
wanted.
wasn't the deal.
That was the deal. No, it
You
wasn't.
said blood.
You merely said blood sacrifice.
The deal was you needed to corrupt the mortal realm.
Yeah, and I am. I'm working
Alright.
for the government. I'm here to not help.
Government. I'm the government. I'm the reason nothing works.
Yeah. Pamela Anderson actually does feel about right for that Rob Schneider / Charlie Sheen movie, made for like $10 million.
Anyway, development. Your stats, whatever they are, they'll all go up and down depending on things that happen, your experiences and such.
And now we get to humanity.
Yeah, after so many side tangents, back to
Actually, no.
back, back to
Before
back to back.
beforehand, story conclusion. If the character's kicker is resolved, and if sufficient drama illustrates the character's true colors to all concerned, players should rewrite the character. So if your story's over, just make a new story.
Or maybe it's sometimes you can end a campaign early if most of their kickers have been resolved.
They do say that as well, but it's just
From
like
what I can tell from this thing, this isn't supposed to be meant for like long-term campaigns. As he puts it down, this is just something you and the guys pull up on at like a game night and just do this for a few hours.
Like I said, I think the game system is functional enough. You would have to agree on what dice system to use, I think. Do you use I would recommend at least using D6s. At least.
about a
He keeps using D10s as the
D11.
example, so I'm assuming that's the basic just because he's still seething Mage stole his thunder.
So humanity. It's their moral state.
Mechanically, it's what keeps your character you.
Yeah?
Every time you make a successful contact, summon, or binds a demon, roll humanity against the demon's power. Failure means you lose 1 point.
Oh, by the way, it's gotten to the point where every other page is a ramble.
You have to make 3
makes it even
checks
worse.
if you contact, summon, and bind a demon. Why not just roll that all into 1?
Yeah, wouldn't it make more sense to just make it you need 3 successes overall, and you got 3 chances to get those 3 successes?
I was saying, if you fail it, a character might perform a heinous act such as sacrificing the newspaper boy or going on a killing spree for some reason.
Oh no, that's if you just do it. That's not failure to bind.
Yeah. It's
It's
essentially
just
saying if you just for some reason felt like going out of the way and started shooting up a church, yeah, you're losing humanity.
no, it's just if you fail to make contact, you're like, well, it didn't summon the demon. Might as well shoot up a school.
Oh
No,
no,
that's
no,
not.
no,
That's
that's
not.
not
That's
how it
dude.
works.
You're not reading. You're not reading that, dude. Like you're literally
You are not
not
reading
reading
it
that
at
right.
all. Basically, the concept is,
GMs can also decree humanity loss rolls if the character performs heinous
Ah,
actions.
yeah.
You're not recognizing there is a period.
I got confused when they were saying it was to summon something. I was assuming it was referencing the above
This
that.
was essentially that was the
Well,
case
no,
of the
the
character decides to go get the
when you
mile.
summon you have to roll against the demon 3 times, and you have to beat it 3 out of 3 to not lose any humanity.
Well, when you contact first, there's the roll for contacting it. Then there's the roll for summoning. Then there's the roll for binding it.
Yeah.
First, you've got to find a demon. Then you've got to bring the demon out. Then you've got to make sure it listens to you. Each one of those risks your humanity dropping.
Which I think is a little bit nonsense, personally. I personally think that's a bit of nonsense. I think it's mainly just because it's, well, I mean, I get the idea it's supposed to be really intense, but like, technically, since humanity only goes to 0, just like another very famous franchise at this point. It's almost like
Ooh,
he
excuse
he
me.
edited his book to be more like it out of seething annoyance that it didn't become the big hit he hoped it was.
It does say humanity loss of any sort is perceivable by other sorcerers on a roll of lore versus the target's current humanity. This may manifest merely as a certain haunted look, but in some cases may include actual physical changes.
Okay.
So,
And in regards to what Humanity Zero is supposed to or was supposed to look like, your soul is a scrapped pile. You are gibbering psychotic. Your sorcery is not really even under your control anymore. More on the demons itself, and your ethics gone.
Yeah.
You defined ways you can gain humanity back are banishing a demon whose power exceeds your humanity, which gains you some humanity against the demon's power. So if you had humanity 1 and a demon with power 5, if you say fuck off demon, you gain 4 humanity back.
Well, you gain a point of it back.
No, it says here this rates a humanity gain roll, the humanity against the demon's power.
Yeah. Confirms the character is a decent human being. Oh, so will doing something that, in the GM's opinion, that's, yes, hypothetically, it is the same point. It is the same concept. It could be in the same paragraph, but that is a very different example that is right next to the previous example. There is a reason why there was some confusion for me on that section and confusion on IMSIT in the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't because you're too intelligent. This is because you write things so poorly that you can't convey your ideas to others. At
well, he
least
is in academia.
you just don't get it. No, you're just too stupid to explain it because you fundamentally don't actually understand it to the intrinsic level that you think you do. In my opinion, you fully understand a topic if you can actually explain it concisely, clearly, and in a way that makes it easy to understand for other people. You don't have to necessarily break it apart, you just have to be able to explain it. Because expressing and teaching that idea to others is how you really show mastery of a subject. Mainly because just absorbing the information, that's relatively low. Being able to make your new ideas out of it, that takes some more thought. Being able to then express that and show and get other people, that's one of the highest points, other than synthesizing new ideas completely. Oh yeah, other sorcerers, they should at least be as tough as the player characters, or considerably tougher. Though pure power is not the
Because
most concerned.
they've likely been around longer.
Of course they have. When I wrote this, I didn't realize how intrusive and disruptive NPC sorcerers can be, and not in a good way. My early sorcerer games were full of them, rich in motivation, rich in backstory. Bullshit. Bullshit. I've seen your sheets, dude.
I mean, Yeah, they were all surprisingly they all had the same succubus wife. Clearly, they were all different succubus wives.
With demons littered all over the place, in control or not. After a while, I realized the games were much better without them most of the time because I really don't like playing these games. Why they're bad. Exterior cults and organization, especially atrocities, are a gamer comfort zone, particularly in terms of investigation and planned climactic battles. Translation: I want to prove that I'm smarter than other people by making transformative works that are completely original. Why is no one wanting to play my games?
NPC sorcerers are priority is to upstage the player character.
Not really.
They invoke the habits of the orc or Gandalf. Something to fight or something to use for cues on what to do next.
Again, not really. If you're going to use that dilemma, you could have it be a Saruman, where you occasionally throw them in.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like what happened was he got sick and tired of actually making good campaigns that people wanted to play. He tried to get experimental and got very angry when no one wanted to play those experimental games. He experienced what Hollywood's going through right now. Also, I think he just kind of intrinsically just fucking hates playing games. Let's be fair.
Okay, this is kind of getting a bit into the other stuff. So, how's about we just move on to just what the hell are demons? Let's just move on to the chapter 3 and just see what the hell demons are and what mechanically they're even able to do.
But you don't
Because it is going to
understand,
get late.
Greg. We're not going to understand this book at all.
It's getting late, dude.
I know, I'm just making fun. Hey, look, it's his demon waifu. It's his porn demon waifu coming from the computer.
Wow, are you sure this man hasn't seen Shin Megami Tensei or the original Megami Tensei?
I wouldn't be surprised if he heard about it later on.
Hmm. Choose. Okay, what do you make a demon? One, ordinary the GM builds the demon, but a player should have say in how their first demon is built. The GM has the final word. One, choose the demon's type and their telltale. Like, is it a Cronenberg demon? Is it like a traditional Gothic? Is it blah blah blah? Choose all of its abilities, the number of which will determine its lore score. So the stuff like that. Choose its stamina based on how physically tough it should be, and its will based on should be at least one score higher than its stamina or lore. Set its power to equal to its will. Give it a need and give it a desire, and then give it a name, a general appearance, and a general behavior.
Oh, also, it sounds relatively harsh. Oh yeah, the concept of him like being bitter and kind of it's. I could be incorrect. Let's be fair. I'm probably attributing more negative traits. It's just the kind of arrogance he's been showing in and out kind of gives me a bit of a read on his personality. He seems like the type of person who doesn't like getting upstaged. Like he kind of on the one hand he's at least admitted that he has failed quite a bit as a GM when experimenting with it. But he also kind of has this sublime arrogance about how a game should be run, which I think fundamentally proves he doesn't actually understand how tabletop games work
All
because
right.
it's very much niche. Like what works in one table will not work for another table. I just wanted to point that out. Like I might be attributing more than actually is there.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not attributing much to the guy who. I'm really not attributing much to this guy, considering his other most famous work is
Oh
what
yeah,
was it
poorly
again?
disguised fetish. Yeah, good
Yeah,
point.
Troll Babe.
Yes, his other poorly disguised fetish. Good point. I think I might have actually dialed him pretty correctly then.
So we want to move on to the types of demons.
Yeah, let's look
Yeah, the
into.
types of demons.
I'm
There are
curious.
five
So you
types.
have
The innocuous. This is something like a little imp that hides in your pocket, a living shadow, or other something that can theoretically go about in that you can kind of just have about, and so no one will really notice unless you draw attention to it, unless it does something very visibly drawing attention. As well
oh,
as obviously something like just the invisible demon. like something purely invisible without solid shape.
So you have objects like obviously the gun, some sort of probably some sort of
An evil grimoire,
grimoire
the Necronomicon, the Necronomicon.
or Steely Dan, parasite.
Parasites.
Well,
It lives
parasites.
inside of you or something close or something nearby it. It could be anything from a malevolent swarm of bees to or whatever to the fucking midichlorians.
And passing. Passing just look like an average human or an animal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
we don't have to go through the. It's literally just they look human, they look animal, and then possessors are intangible and only take physical form if they take over someone.
I think this is the type of example because they did mention it at the very beginning, something like a demon possessing a corpse.
Yeah.
like a deadite.
The default
Yeah.
demon presence. The demon has default mechanics presence in play, which is subject to normal rules use. One of the least human-like demons I've seen in play was a blood parasite with almost no identifiable personality characteristics beyond its horde needs and with no described physical form. Kill it literally
Wait, a blood
stabbing himself.
parasite doesn't have a physical form?
What?
He described a
It's a
rapidly spreading, almost
never
pseudopod-like
mind.
pool of blood. This was all great and for standards regarding its speed, its ability to go up the stairs with immediate So what you're saying is you ripped off John Carpenter's The Thing. Because that's how the blood reacted with the test.
You see, in this case, it's a demon, not an alien.
It's
It's
so
different.
clever. It's not like I stole it from a very cult classic hit science fiction horror movie. Oops.
Demon types in
Which
regards to how they should deal with your character. Passers should have low intimacy but high proactivity. Objects have low intimacy and low proactivity. A possessor should have high intimacy and a high proactivity. And a parasite should have high intimacy and low proactivity.
and the inconspicuous, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Inconspicuous. Yeah, it can be anything.
this feels kind of silly. Abilities must
Which
confer to itself, needs a host, presence endangers host, control bodily volition unless host makes conflict out of it. Parasites must confer to the host, needs a host, presence doesn't, blah blah blah. Inconspicuous may confer abilities either to host or itself. Oh, also, that again, more bad book design because he throws these crappy annotations that just interfere with the flow of reading the fucking book. Some important terms. Master, host, and user differ significantly. A master is whoever the demon's bound to. Host is whoever the possessor or parasite occupies, and a user is whoever controls an ability. I I guess there's a reason for the terminologies. I just don't see much of a point personally.
I mean, I guess the master is the one the demon ultimately has to listen to. The host could be, in the case of a possessor, you probably, since the demon is overriding it, it can't. A possessor demon can't be its master, but a parasite can be in its master. While a user, theoretically, you could have, say, a innocuous demon, like a living shadow. You having it follow someone around and essentially says, if they're ever attacked, protect them, form armor around them,
I mean,
which makes them a user.
unironically, you could have a weird symbiotic relationship with your possessor where you go full Tyler Durden a la Fight Club, where you basically timeshare your body with him.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a fun idea.
That could also
yeah,
be a parasite, technically, as well.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a pretty fun idea. It's just like you timeshare the body, and what happens is you can send them out to possess other people.
then they finally give us abilities for demons.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Armor.
Has the ability big, but the sorcerer is the user. Yeah, I could explain it. The sorcerer binds a passing demon. The demon has the ability special damage, and its passer may be the user. Sorcerer binds a possessor demon with the ability to travel, hosting it in a German Shepherd dog.
Oh, by the way, there is another one. Demon scores. The easiest way to make up a demon is to choose the abilities, count them, use that value for lore and stamina, add one, then use that value for will and power. One might imagine a rash of demons with stamina X, will X plus 1, lore X, and power X plus 1. I don't know why he did the score when he already explained it in this annotation. Okay. Oh, also his demon abilities are from the website because it's its own not page. He didn't even give you examples in the original incarnation, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this
Well,
is coming off more and more like Derek here. More and more like there was just shit missing from the original book that he had to slap on. The only problem is he formatted it so badly, it's making me wish for rifts.
Armor lets you convert damage take as you take away damage taken. No effect on actual fist damage or damage from heat, poison, gas, or anything but gravity. It may be defined as a solid armor. Big, you get big
Okay.
boost. Essentially, you get just a giant stat boost to whatever it is. Cloak, you can't be perceived. Command, you can control something. Confused, you can warp with someone's perception.
Is he just stealing vampire disciplines and just claiming them as his own?
he's
I mean,
doing the Games Workshop method.
here's one that's kind of unique. Hint, in the sense that you can, essentially the demon you ask this demon is being outside, ask it for information that you shouldn't have, and essentially the demon can essentially use its powers to pick up on things in the cosmic sphere and deliver you an answer about it.
Oh, by the way, if you're wondering, yes, they repeated the same page again. Does it need to be so? No.
Yeah. Hop, possessor demon, can jump between hosts. Link, you can always know where your demon is, and vice versa. Mark, you can mark someone. You can permanently mark someone and always know who they are and other such things.
Oh, he's also
So,
stealing a bit from old Dungeons and Dragons, actually, because the
yeah.
hint is similar to, I would say, a mixture of scry and speak to dead.
Order of God.
Yeah.
Psychic powers.
Cool. I mean, there's a variety of options. It's just because of how shittily formatted this section of the book is. Who cares?
Shapeshift. Spawn.
By the way, I like how this entire little annotated bit here is like 1/4 of a page, and there's no reason for it. And then a repetition page, because of course there is. And then another one for understanding cover and fucking cloak. This may be the worst formatted book I've ever read. Reminder, this person worked in academia, which means that you're actually supposed to follow a structured format that makes sense to the scholars that are reading your goddamn work. Keep that in mind.
So after all these powers, they then come up with the desires.
Well, also, you
Demon.
forgot the special damage. I'm not bitter about Mage outdoing me. No, what are you talking? No, I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter.
Yeah, the reason I just didn't mention is because there's nothing to say. It's exactly what it looks like.
So example desires, including mayhem, which are such as explosions, running gunfights, brawls in redneck bars, and nuclear war.
I'm just now envisioning there's this. I love this shit post of like prospective candidates for American election primaries. One of them being the infamous Holden Blood Feast. 118 years old. Please, God, let us get to nuclear war with Iran. Let's just drop nukes on Iran. I want to smell
No.
burning flesh before I
This reminds
die.
me. Sorry, just what you reminded me of. It reminds me of a fucking Stellaris thing. Essentially, it's like the end of the cycle. The end of the cycle the end of the cycle has not come yet, but it could be. But it could. But we could start now. Your end hasn't come yet, mortal. But we could start it. We could start it a lot sooner than it's supposed to be.
Philosophy, not even once. Even philosophy majors need to actually explain the ideas and concepts that they personally espouse and have come up with. No, this is a failure on all levels of humanity. I I'm actually impressed because I've read some really terrible books like Empire Satanis. which was literally written on Microsoft Word. I have read some really massive corkers. I think this is one of the worst this is easily the worst formatted book we've ever read.
Yeah, there's no getting around that.
This is easily the worst fucking book in terms of understanding or
Formatting.
figuring things out, because what'll happen is you have to skip like 5 pages of garbage because this idiot either puts dead spaces, like completely dead pages that don't mean shit,
Or
repeats the
repeated
same
pages.
fucking page in grayscale for no fucking reason, and his interjections completely ruin critical parts of your train of thought for no reason. And this guy is claiming to be transformative, transversive, subversive, when all he did was he tried to come up with you just need to get the highest result, which is the basic concept of a D6 fucking dice system. And then he turned it to D10 because what happened was all of the oxygen in the room for his terrible one-shot idea was sucked up by Mage. Yeah, you can play a Nefandus, you can make pacts with the infernal realms, you can gain powerful benefactors, but you know what you could also do? You could be a Gordon Ramsay chef. You could be Darkside Phil trying to enforce stasis on the masses and get money in the process. You could play any fucking type of concept. You could play the hobo mage who literally gibbers and makes little trash goblins his friends. Who gives a shit? You could literally you become a JoJo stand user as a mage. You could fucking summon Pokemon with cards if you know the right spheres.
Man, yeah.
It is as free as your creativity is limited with the spheres. And this has the gall to try to claim it's even more freeing than that.
Because it doesn't have any set bounds or standards or narratives to confine oneself within an ordered system. It's more freeing and liberating and more innate with the true
The
id.
only rules a demon needs are the three rules: the rule of binding, the rule of need, and the rule of secrecy.
And the rule of need is they're all hot demon waifus that are going to screw me, the creator. I mean, my character.
I need my seed. Seed.
Okay, the rule of there's a bit further on, but the rule of binding: if a demon is present in reality but not bound, it will start to shrivel up, which is, I guess, part of the reason why they even feel the need to even or the make the deals with the people so that they can stick around in reality and get what they want done. The rule of the need: if they demon without, it's the stuff they really want to do, or else they're essentially going to, or else they're in trouble. And the rule of secrecy: no demon will tolerate a command to appear or use its abilities in a way that would risk its widespread knowledge of existence.
Because otherwise my stupid secret world concept couldn't be used. That's the other thing. You note that he's going for a secret world right when World of Darkness made a secret world. Do you think that was in the original concept? Or do you think this was a case of him trying to coattail and then getting angry that it didn't work?
Honestly, I'm actually gonna believe it's the second. I've
Yeah.
been a bit more on the thing, but I do honestly believe it was the second.
Yeah, because it really does feel like he keeps using D10s as the example. A
Mostly
lot of their
because
abilities are stolen from disciplines or from
question.
spheres.
Question. What does the sorcerer do in D&D? What does the class do?
Well, it's
Shoot
basically
spells.
similar to a wizard in that you gain arcane might. The difference is, unlike the wizard, it is
It's innate.
intuitive. It is innate because of your blood. Your bloodline basically allowed you to awaken your connection to arcane forces. You still need to do it via ritual and memorization, but it's a combination
And in
of
later
practice and just insight from your ancestors almost, like an
later
instinctual
editions they
drive.
added stuff that essentially means, since its magic is tied to your very blood, you can essentially you'll always be the more powerful caster than a wizard. You're just not the most. You'll never be as versatile.
So
Ba-
nothing with demon summoning?
Basically, a sorcerer in Dungeons and Dragons,
Now that's closer to warlock than
you
anything.
intrinsically understand the spell that you cast. You don't need to constantly study the formulae to keep the ritual in mind in your head. It's instinctual. The difference is a wizard can transcribe and copy any spell that's of the arcane variety that uses magic, while you are bound by a combination of practice and instinctual drive. your spell selection is much more limited. You also can use it less often. Wizards have more slots than you.
You can just put, but you just get a bit more ability to blast things. The reason why sorcerers are more known for blast casting.
Well, also, what sorcerers can do is they can change up their spell loadout quicker. Basically, you can kind of intrinsically change what you're going to bust out.
Mhm. And as I mentioned before, in later editions, they essentially added more ways for sorcerers to upcast and make their spells more powerful just innately.
So I have no idea then why they're using Sorcerer.
Oh, you're talking.
Because
Oh,
it's
hey,
so
Cyanide's talking about the binder from. God, it's the Tome of Magic, isn't it? It's the one with the horrible True Namer. Yeah, binder's like the only good one from that book, because there's the blue guy, and I don't remember much about them other than their blue magic stuff is not very good.
blue
The
magic.
same one that had the green crack rock wizards.
Oh no, that's arcane. That's the complete arcane. This is Tome of Magic, which is the companion almost Tome of Battle. The difference is, unlike Tome of Battle, most of the Tome of Magic classes suck. There's only
Anyway,
one that's
I'm
really good, and it's Binder. And even then, it's kind of situational, not that impressive. It's still a fun class if you know what you're doing, though.
anyway the most. I'm gonna just go over one of the demons suggested. The doppelganger. The demon has the same name as your player character. It's a passer type with that desires knowledge of you, and it needs to act on random will of violence. It is a doppelganger, complete duplicate of you, presumably summoned by an enemy sorcerer, and with any origins that fits your things and such. Its stat should be about yours. For its name, it's a modified version of your models. If you're Charlie, it's Chuck, etc. This is especially fun, and it wants to go out of its way to sort of ruin your, and it wants to go out of its way to sort of fuck with you because it looks exactly like you, and it's a doppelganger. Do you know anything about those myths?
Some of the other examples, just because I'm just seeing if there's any more goofy ideas.
There's the 9 Inch Man, Lil.
Yeah, the one that needs praise.
He's only 9 inches tall, and it all it can do is give you like some very small powers and advice.
These are not very interesting demons.
Nah.
That isn't that kind of funny that like this is the big thing he was building up to, and you can see his lack of creativity.
Yeah, like, especially because he said before, like examples of what people described demons as.
Like it's
He
not
They
said
don't
creative.
have to be. They don't. Yeah, they don't gotta be. At least as he
they
puts
they
it, they don't
said
have to be. They could
like
be, fighter jet spaceships.
Yeah, it could be like, for example, you could have a demon that passes that could be an object demon that's a fighter jet whose big shtick is, besides causing it's powered by causing death, but its dream is to push boundaries. Like it wants to go into beyond the sphere of the
Ugh.
supernal sphere. It wants to see beyond and take you with it. That could be one.
The, a node or coalescence of technological energy and electricity taking on independent life. So for like it's a living being of electricity that's living inside of you and feeding off your bioelectricity, and its need, and its need is for sustenance, but its desire is to spread.
Another fun one is I'm coming up with this on the fly. Ogma, which is an old demon whose whole shtick is it is a demon who bestows an intrinsic knowledge on all languages because it is the fount of knowledge. Its desire is it wants more new ideas, the novel, the creative, and
Mhm.
well, its need is it needs your thoughts and memories. It slowly devours your memories, but because it seeks constantly the new, the novel, ideas it's not never heard of before. So you slowly become more forgetful. It's almost like dementia, but it also gives you intrinsic access to a variety of knowledges. Things that you would
And
never know.
anyway, at this point, it's getting late. At this point,
Yeah,
and we've got into the part that was hyped up the most.
And it's
and to
not
be
that
honest,
impressive.
yeah, looking at the rest of it, it's really more just of how do you play the game. I mean, considering this guy's an academic, and it's about halfway
We've
through the
seen so
book.
far what he's put down.
On top of
Yeah,
that, he's already kind of established everything you need anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So now comes the time of the night where we actually give a rating to this book.
4. My
Out of
personal
what?
opinion.
Out of what?
10. Or I guess I say 2 out of 5. This is a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5 or 3 out of 10, I'd say it's the formatting that's just really awful. This you could have if you did this
If this was formatted better, I would have given this a 5 or maybe a 6.
you could have made this in like a 16-page modern indie RPG.
Well, to be fair,
Like, I
I'd
mean, here,
probably make it 30 pages, just a little booklet.
yeah.
30 pages, I think.
But the same
Personally,
length as
using the system that I like to use, as it stands, I can't quite rate this as playable just because it is such a pain in the ass to read. The formatting alone ruins any chance I can give it as playable. So it's
I think this is
garbage.
I think this is technically play. I put this as playable because because despite what he says, if you just skip to essentially the parts on sorcerer and demon, you've pretty much got everything you need.
The problem is you kind of have to transcribe everything so that other people can understand it. That's kind of my biggest
Yeah,
problem.
we made it.
Well, well, that and we're also taking the annotated version. Maybe the non-annotated
Yeah,
is actually useful.
the original person doesn't have every other page filled with his stupid notes.
Okay, in that case, I would say it's a very high playable, almost decent, I would actually argue, because the concept alone can actually be quite fun. It has the same potential as, say, Lunch Rush or Everyone is John.
Yeah, but
So I
plus
would
I can
say
definitely see
high
this.
playable, almost decent, not quite. But the annotated version is garbage, just
Yeah,
because it is a pain in the ass to actually read.
if you I would put this as if you want to play a game where the whole folk where the if essentially you want to play you want to play a Shin Megami Tensei esque game, about that's purely focused on demons in a semi modern esque setting. This is the game. This is the setting thing because you don't have to worry about any of the other meta plot or anything. It's just whatever the world you want it to be as.
The problem is, I think that just because of how sorcerers work in the setting, it loses some of the interesting toolkit you can kind of do, like if you say played Ars Magica or Mage.
Mm-hmm. Fortunately, I've never touched Ars Magica, so
It's
I cannot
basically
give a
Mage.
decent
If
grade
you've
on that.
played Mage the Ascension or Awakening, it's very similar.
Never got a chance to that actually. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Like I said, I think this is a pretty. The version we read is unplayable trash, as Squirrel Killer mentioned.
Yeah.
But if a GM decided to actually make it in a way that's digestible, like if you just kind of cut the key elements, edit it right, I'd say it's a very high playable, almost decent. It's a neat little concept. The ultimate problem is it is as creative and as fun as the GM is imaginative and fun,
And no, not even just the GM, as
and the
everyone
players.
is.
Yes, it requires high creativity, which can be a very strong detriment. But if you want to play a Shin Megami Tensei JoJo game or anything like that, it's not a bad system for it.
I mean, yeah, something where your character is always at risk of getting just immediately yeeted, but you also have an extreme amount of power in other ways.
But yeah, as Cyanide mentioned, it's playable because it's simple, but there are better and more interesting
Hmm?
alternatives. That's kind of
I
what damns it.
think one of the points is if you have to explain how simple it is, it's not really simple.
So anyway, I heartily recommend playing this with D1000s. It's excellent if you play it with D1000s as your chosen dice. And just make sure you come up with cool, horrifying ideas for demons and fun ideas for wacky sorcerers, and you have a game that is the game. It is the game.
One of the games of all time.
It is one of the games of all time.
You know, this is gonna sound really bad, but a part of me unironically wants to see how bad, how messed up, just of a mess Troll Babe is.
I am darkly curious about that myself, but that is for future Adam to be concerned about. As for what
Good
we're
night,
gonna
y'all.
do next week, you met there was because I do know that because another suggestion that I actually had was a Bretonnian adventure book for Warhammer Second Edition's fantasy role playing game. And I know that adventure hook. It's pretty good.
And well, considering the old world just came out, a good
Oh
time for
Eh,
that.
fuck the old world. I already know how it ends, and it ends in a crybaby vampire bitch. Not interested.
Wait,
I mean,
I'm
it
gonna
also ends
pop
with
off.
Bretonnians charging to their death, which, hey,
Off screen, basically, dies like Cathay, and their religion's a lie, and it's really pathetic and lame.
well, no, it's better than it's better than Cathay. You actually know what goes on in Bretonia.
Yeah, they die like chumps. But Bretonnia is an option. Someone mentioned busty barbarian bimbos, which is it is a suggestion. Might be another grab bag because I do have a lot of books that would merit a slop folder, like a slop folder to fan game Boogaloo 2.
Anyway, night,
Well,
y'all.
we can all discuss about this in the Discord, which I believe is linked below.
Yep, it's in our
Should be.
description, and feel free to like, subscribe, and do all the horrible things you want because as a demon, your needs and desires are what you want to propagate. Have an excellent night, everyone.